Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here, please subscribe, turn on a notification bell, and the thumbs ups. All right, this is a very special video that we've compiled for you guys. It is an aggregate mock draft video. What we've done is we've looked at 7 different mocks that are out there from The Ringer, Bleacher Report, The Athletic, ESPN Plus, and we've compiled basically it's kind of like it's not a consensus, because it's not like these people got together and said, okay, this is what we're choosing, but in a way it is a consensus. What's fun about it is it shows you the range of where some of these players are falling, the difference between, like a player who falls in 7, we give them a score that's based upon their ranking, where they are. The lowest number is better, of course. And if they didn't make it on a certain mock draft, they get a score of a 31. So the 30th player gets a 30 for a certain mock, but if they don't get on any of them, like if they left off, 2 of them, they get an additional 31 points for each of the 2 they're left off. And it's going to be fun. And the reason we're doing this is because it's something called Wisdom of the Crowd. And I'm bringing someone in, very special guest, my son, Dylan Esquerra, to explain it for you guys. And I'll be back later.
Hey everyone, this is Dylan. I'm very excited to be here. I am the statistical consultant for Into the Knicks-Verse, as well as George's son. I'm back home from college for the summer. I'm studying math and economics, and I'm here to tell you about a statistical phenomena called the wisdom of the crowd. So I mentioned this to my dad a couple of weeks ago, and he thought it would be a great way to do a draft video. So what this is it's the idea that large groups of people are much smarter than any individual could be on average. And this was first studied at a state fair, or first observed, where there was a giveaway for a very large prized cow. People all stood around and they guessed the weight, and whoever got the closest would go home with it. And no one was very close, but the average was remarkably accurate. This can be seen in many other examples, such as games where you guess the amount of jelly beans in a jar. Some people overshoot and guess in the thousands, some people undershoot and guess in the hundreds, but the average gets closer and closer to the correct answer as the pool of who you ask grows. So we'll be using that logic by finding multiple mock drafts and looking at how players slot in on average, what's their range between all of them, and perhaps this will give us even more accurate draft than any of the individuals. Go Knicks.
All right, well, there you had Dylan explaining to you guys the phenomenon of wisdom of the crowd. Okay, next, now we're going to apply it. We've looked at 7 different mocks, compiled the numbers together. We're going to show you this beautiful grid. Watch this next portion. So this is the big board, the big board that I have compiled. It's the aggregate compilation of several mock drafts, numerical tabulation of where people land in general. And here we go. So we start round 1. Detroit, Houston, we all know the order. And this is basically, we see Cade is the overwhelming number 1 pick. And you can see for Houston, some people have Mobley going number 2. Some people have Jalen Suggs going number 2. Some people have Jalen Green going number 2. So a lot of variety. And I've color-coded certain names, so when you look at it pulled out, you can see kind of how names move around. I mean, look at Davion. It's like up, he's all over. He has a pretty good, decent narrow range between 7 and 13. But guys like Zaire Williams, look at, he goes as low as 24, as high as 14. And let's see, who's another guy? Look at Kispert's as high as 10, as low as 22. So some wide range between them all, which is why it's so nice to do the aggregate total. Now here, let's look at, so in the top 9, you can see that it's pretty solid. You can see Franz Wagner makes it into the top 9 in here. Scotty Barnes is here. Davion Mitchell, In this one, Keon Johnson makes it into the top 9. Book Night makes it up here in the top 9. This one, Nobody Knew makes it into the top 9 in this one. Oh, well, Jalen Johnson, SBNation makes it into the top 9. Here, Moses Moody on CBS Sports and NBADraft.net both makes it into the top 9, and then ESPN. So here, let's look at the aggregate ranking. So Cade gets a score of 6, and his range is, the first number is the highest, see the H, the second number is the lowest. So Cade never goes lower than 1. And of course, it'd be ridiculous for someone to, well, you never know. Detroit, they may not, I mean, there's rumors out there, but I'm not going to get into those right now. So here, the aggregate choice for number 2 is Evan Mobley. Number 3, Jalen Green. He gets a score of 22. His range is 2 to 4. Jalen Suggs 2 to 5. So, but it's very close, very close. Jonathan Kuminga, 36 points. His range is super narrow. Basically 5'6". He's going 5th or 6th. That's what they believe. Scotty Barnes, a little more interesting. Now, here's where we start getting a little more variance. Scotty Barnes goes 6th in this aggregate total for a score of 50. His range is 5 to 9. Keon Johnson, 59, 6 to 10. Davion Mitchell, a score of 65. His range is 7 to 13. And Franz Wagner, right there, his range is 7 to 15 with a score of 73. And Moody, to round out the top 10, Moody gets in there. 80. So this is your top 10 aggregate draft board right here. Cade 1, Evan Mobley 2, Jalen Green 3, Jalen Suggs 4, Kuminga 5th, Scotty Barnes 6, Keon Johnson 7th, Davion Mitchell 8th, and Franz Wagner and Moses Moody rounded out. Now let's look at the next batch. Okay, so let's stick with the lottery here. All right, so let's go from, I probably should have just done 1 through 7, but let's see at first. So now these names, what's interesting here, who new appearances here? Josh Giddey appears. Corey Kispert appears here. This is that's the Bleacher Report 1. And here is, this is the Ringer. So Kispert here. Jalen Johnson makes an appearance. Alperen Sengun. Again, I keep bastardizing his name. I'm sorry if you're listening. Anyone who's connected to him listening, I apologize for that. Chris Duarte makes an appearance here. At 14, the Golden State, Chris Duarte. Very interesting. Here they have Usman Garuba going there. So you can see Book Night is making solid appearances in the top 14 in the lottery. So this is your overall lottery. Now this is CBS Sports. CBS Sports has Isaiah Jackson going and Trey Mann going pretty high. I believe that is New Orleans. New Orleans going to Trey Mann and San Antonio taking Isaiah Jackson. Interesting. All right, and the next one is NBADraft.net. They have Kai Jones right there in the lottery. All right, now this is where it gets fascinating. In the lottery, rounding out the lottery, Kai Jones just misses the lottery by 4 points. Kispert is the bottom one of the lottery. That's Golden State. Jalen Johnson, Josh Giddey, Book Night. So that rounds out the lottery picks. Now let's just go down. Here it is. 15th is Kai Jones. Alperen Sengun, 16. Zaire Williams, 17. Isaiah Jackson, 18. Usman Garuba, 19. What's nice about this is it gives you a feeling of where players will be, where you're going to pick. It doesn't mean these players are going to go here. It just means that is the totality of what the prognosticators are giving us. When you see a dash, that means he didn't make it onto one of the lists, this player. As we go down, you'll see many more dashes. Boo, 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 boo. All right, so the Knicks are picking at 19. They have Usman Garuba. That doesn't mean the Knicks are going to pick Usman Garuba, because if Trey Mann is there, Knicks are going to take Trey Mann. And look, Duarte's available at 21. But if Knicks pick him here, then Atlanta picks here. I mean, Atlanta will probably look at somebody like Cam Thomas, or even Jaden Springer instead, and then Duarte will be there, which is really exciting. Cam Thomas is 22nd, Jaden Springer is 24, and rounding out the top 30 are Sharif Cooper, Ayu Dosunmu, Jared Butler, 26, Greg Brown, 27, Miles McBride, Josh Christopher, and Trey Murphy, rounding it out with a score of 200. His highest is 23, his lowest is 28, even though he was left off 4 boards. 23 is a decent number to go at. And look over here, he's 25th. So Josh Christopher, I actually haven't really scouted him much. I've only read a few things. I need to watch some tape on him. He's interesting. Look at his range, 17 to 30. That's a big range. Now, these are guys that are knocking on the door. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Quentin Grimes, and Joe Weiskamp. And if you watch my other video, you'll see I value these guys very highly. So there you go. This is it. This gives you the aggregate mock draft right here. Thanks to Bleacher Report, The Ringer, The Athletic, SBNation, CBS Sports, NBADraft.net, and ESPN Plus. All right, so there you see the totality and where people fall in, like Davion Mitchell, the consensus 8th pick, Franz Wagner 9th, Moody 10th. So it gives you an idea where the range of these players, where they're going to go. So now we're going to show you the Into the Knicks-Verse first mock draft with no trades. These are no trades. This is just if every team stays where they are and who they are most likely to select. But of course, I'm not going to give you a boring mock draft. I'll give you a couple of little surprises, especially up front. Here we go. Okay, so this is the Knicks-Verse no trades mock draft. All right, so this is me looking at the climate. Again, this is not any team trading up or down, so that's the caveat here. This is also looking at the aggregate totals that I just showed you, and taking into account the different needs that teams have, little teaser indications that they've given us before. In mine, as you can see right here, I have Cade going number 1, obviously, but number 2, I have Jalen Green. I think that Jalen Green is such a tremendous talent that it's going to be hard for Houston to pass them up. I mean, look what they did with Kevin Porter Jr. You know, they knew this guy, an amazing talent. His character and his effort was more the issue, but they still took a chance on him. So why wouldn't they take a chance on someone who could be, a potential all-star for years to come, a super dynamic scorer? I believe that this is a very, very real possibility. Now, my next one, Cleveland picking, this is going to be the surprise. I have Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes going 3rd to Cleveland, which means Evan Mobley will go 4th to Toronto, because I think Toronto will look at this opportunity to get this monster rebounder and an incredible, he's not a monster rebounder, but he's an excellent rebounder. He's just an incredible, he's the best big man available. And Toronto desperately needs a big man. And then in that case, they probably will make a play at holding on to Kyle Lowry and going at it for another couple of years with Kyle. And since, he's an amazing leader for that team, he's a champion. I can see this little partnership working out very well. Zoom out a little bit here. Now it starts getting a little more interesting. Suggs at 5th. And if you watched my other video, whether, the Knicks can, the surprise draft, whether the Knicks move up and trade for the 5th pick, the Knicks might come up here and grab Jalen Suggs if he's available at 5. In this case, again, this is the no trades mock. Now, Kuminga is the next best player available. Oklahoma City, I can see him going there very easily. It's not a big stretch at all. Davion Mitchell to Golden State. I think they would love his defensive abilities, his skills. This is also in case, Clay takes, some time to get back into shape, because they want to make a run next season. And this guy, he's ready. He's ready to go. Despite my size-ish concerns with him, I think Golden State would love to have this guy on. And then 8 to Orlando, Moses Moody. So can you imagine Orlando, if, again, no trades, they grab Suggs at the 5, Moody at the 8, Keon Johnson going to Sacramento 9, Corey Kispert 10, Charlotte grabs Bouknight. Ooh, that would be something truly dynamic. Again, San Antonio, they love foreign bigs. Alperen Sengun, he has tremendous upside, and him in a Popovich system could really thrive. Indiana, Franz Wagner, makes total sense. Josh Giddey going to Golden. I almost had Josh Giddey going to Golden State at 7. I see him allowing a Steph to play off ball and Clay, and he could find him with his passing ability, superior pass ability and size. I think he'd be a tremendous get for the Golden State Warriors. And he has pro league experience, so they're going to make a run next season. I think they're going to be one of the contenders for if they come back healthy. Golden State's a contender next season. Next play, Washington, the Wizards. they grab a guy, Zaire Williams, with tremendous upside. Tremendous. His ceiling is so high. He has a multi-range of skills. He could fit in really well. And he wouldn't have a lot of pressure on him because he'd be playing with Bradley Beal and Westbrook. They could really use him. Oklahoma City, Kai Jones, my next favorite big. He's a live wire, this guy. His athleticism is amazing. Definitely watch my other video. I break him down. Jalen Johnson, Memphis, they love long wings, but he could really fit in really well there. Oklahoma City gets this guy, Usman Garuba. This would be a nice get for them. And then at 19, the New York Knicks land our man, Trey Mann. Oh yeah. Bring him to New York. Love this. All right, at 20, I see Atlanta grabbing Cam Thomas. They love shooters. This guy is he's a bucket. He's a bucket in multi different ways. And those times when Trey is off the court, Cam could, get on there and just fill it up for them. And he could even play alongside Trey. Then New York Knicks at the 21 hole get, in my opinion, the second best shooter in the draft, Mr. Chris Duarte. Fantastic. All right. Then the Lakers. Lakers grab Sharif Cooper. Tremendous facilitator. Because the Lakers don't necessarily need someone who can shoot in the one hole because they have LeBron and AD, and this guy, the way he breaks down defenses, penetrates, and he's a great passer. And, his game is coming around. He's a good free throw shooter. He would be a really, really nice get for the Lakers at 22. Then Houston goes in. They grab Isaiah Jackson, Mitch Robinson type player. Excellent. Fine for them. And they have the 24th pick right away, and they get Quentin Grimes from the Cougars. They couldn't go wrong with him. Couldn't go wrong with him at all. Clippers grab Trey Murphy in the 25th hole. Denver grabs Joe Weiskamp, the third best shooter. Excellent wing. He could definitely, those times when Denver's struggling a little bit to get a bucket, he'll be there to help. He'd be a nice, sweet addition for them. Brooklyn, Charles Bassey, I think it's Bassey. Philadelphia gets Rocco. Phoenix Suns, Deron Sharp. And to round it out, Utah Jazz grabs Ayo. So there it is. That is the Knicks-Verse mock draft. And I will post this. I will post a link for this in the description. You guys can download this. Alrighty, so there you have it. That is the first mock draft for Into the Knicks-Verse. We're going to be updating this as we get more data, because I think some of the pro days are going to affect people's teams, what they're looking at. We're going to hear more rumors. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an ongoing process. I really think Scotty Barnes is going up. That guy's a very special talent. Very, very special talent. Whoever gets him is going to get an incredibly dynamic player for basically the next 10 years. I mean, this whole draft is super, super deep. Like I've said before, please watch the full Knicks 2021 NBA draft preview video that I dropped a couple of days ago. It's called Can a Knicks Win the Draft? And it really gets in deep on a lot of players. It's not a full scouting report video on players, but it gives you some highlights and why it targets who the Knicks should target. All right. Thank you for watching. Again, subscribe, and thank you to Dylan, my son, for his awesome contributions to Into the Knicks-Verse. Subscribe, thumbs up. See you around.